Hey there. I'm wondering who can hear me, who can see me. I am like so excited. It's Tip Tuesday, and I'm going to give a couple minutes for some folks to jump on if there's going to be anybody jumping on. But I definitely want to start on time today because I got a couple of things to cover, but we're going to probably be in and out of here in like 15 minutes. I'm serious. So just bear with me as I kind of like try to wait for some folks. And I want to make sure also that I'm actually streaming. So let me just check my phone. Let's see what's going on here. See if I'm actually live. Oh, there I am. Hi. Okay, so I'm hoping that you guys can all hear me okay. But today is Tip Tuesday. The fun thing about today, though, is you're going to get a whole lot of tips, not just one tip. So, I can see some people are kind of starting to pop on here. So, thank you so much. I got a comment from somebody. Not just one. You guys, I don't know how to read this thing. I can see some people are kind of starting to pop. Hey, Tyler. So thank you so much. I got a comment. I don't know how to mute myself on the phone. Tyler, you have to watch the whole thing because you're my assistant and you helped build this thing, so you're stuck here until we're done. Do not hang up. Do not get bored because you're part of this. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because for those of you who miss anything, you can definitely pick up some tips on the replay. So we are talking about jump starting your business. I have 5 tips that I wanted to kind of go over with you guys. If you had a chance to watch me last week, you got a chance to hear a huge announcement that I made for my business. I talked to you guys all about how I transitioned from going from a photographer who worked and did a full-time job and coach track onto a full-time photographer. And there was some things that I definitely did that helped me to enhance and to grow in this business. So there are some things that I feel like if you're going to start a business, you absolutely need to do these basic 5 things, especially if you're a photographer. I do believe that a lot of these tips will help people that maybe are starting any kind of business. If you're a creative, or maybe you're starting a floral, business or a calligraphy business, I do believe that these tips will help you to grow, develop, and establish yourself as a fierce, competitor and not competitor, but a fierce person in the industry. So let's get started. Let's see here. I'm still learning how to use this software. Okay. The first thing I do believe you need to do as a business mogul, you guys are all moguls, is you have got to identify your brand. So what I mean by that is you should have a logo. You should have a business presence on social media. You should have a website. You should have a split account from your Facebook personal page to your Facebook business page. Like, in all honesty, if Facebook finds out that you're running a business page off of your personal page, they will shut you down. And I have seen it happen. Ooh, look at that hair out of the... There we go. Let me fix that, you guys. Hey, let me fix that. Okay. I have seen it happen time and time again where I have seen people who are running small mom and pop shops off of their photography page or their personal Facebook page. And Facebook does not like that. Instagram, they don't really care as much. But Facebook, they want you to create a separate page because they want you to use their ads to get more business and get more followers and more likes and things like that. So it's really important that you start to create some type of business branding for yourself as a business owner. For an example, when I first started out, I literally went and got myself a logo that I paid like $30 for. It cost me no money. It took me no time, but it was something that identified me like, hey, I'm more serious than just somebody who picked up a camera and started taking pictures. And now I'm putting it up on my personal page. Like, I've got a logo. I've, got a Facebook page. I built out my own little, makeshift website. I really was doing some things, people. But I felt like if I'm going to do this for real, if I'm going to take this to the next level, I've got to start creating a business brand for myself. In a couple of weeks, we'll be talking more about personal branding and putting your personal touches on your business. But for this purpose today, we're talking specifically about business branding. You have got to get yourself out there and identifiable to customers. When they look you up and they're thinking about hiring you, I think that going into your personal Facebook page or you texting them a couple of pictures, here's the cakes that I make, or, here's the calligraphy that I can do for your invitations. I'm going to text you some pictures. I'm sorry, it just doesn't have that same presence as somebody who can say, let me send you my website. It's got my pricing. It's got an about me. It talks about who I am as a person. It's definitely an area that you have to decide to develop if you're going to want to take it to the next level. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is decide what type of photography you want to focus on. So when I first started out, I photographed everything. I photographed dogs and flowers, and I was learning. I was in a learning curve. I was trying to figure out who I was as a photographer. And there's definitely nothing wrong with somebody who wants to photograph everything. You do boudoir, you do weddings, you do families, you do all kinds of things. But I will tell you, if your heart and your soul is around, you have fallen in love with, let's say, boudoir, but all of your website and all of your your Facebook pages, everything that you put out there is families. How are they going to know that boudoir is your thing, right? So I think it's really important to identify what type of photography you want to do. Let's say you're a baker and you can bake everything. You can bake cakes and crumpets and snacks and all kinds of stuff. But your heart and soul really is for children's birthday cakes. So even though you may get hired to do everything, I think it's super important to put out there what you want to attract. So if you want to do kids' birthday parties, that's your passion. Your passion is birthday cakes for, 1-year-olds. Then what you put out on social media should be all about 1-year-old birthday party cakes, right? So for me, it was about becoming a wedding photographer. I did families, I did boudoir, I did all kinds of different, types of photography, but I started to identify that I really have a passion. Like, I love this wedding thing. I want to photograph bouquets. Oh my gosh, sorry you guys, my husband's calling me. I want to photograph all these different things, and I'm putting all this stuff out on social media, and now people are like, well, what does she specialize in? It looks like she does kind of everything. And when you have a client who's looking for a niche, like weddings especially, they want somebody who's like a subject matter expert in weddings. They're paying you $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to do their wedding. So it's really important that you put out there what you want to attract. So it's, I am a firm believer, when you first start out in the business, you should try everything. You don't know what you're going to like. You don't know what you're going to attract. You don't know what your passion probably is yet. So I think it's important to look at other photography, styles and ideas, and shoot everything, try everything. But as you start to develop yourself into a business and a professional photography business, or a professional cake business, or a professional invitation business, I think it's important to continue to put out there, but this is what I like to do. I can do everything, but I like to do weddings. I like to do birthday parties. I like to do events. So that's my advice number 2. Okay, so moving on to number 3, which actually kind of led me, I was already kind of getting into that, is to identify your style. This goes back into trying everything, photographing everything, put yourself out there. And, I shot for free a lot because I didn't know what I was doing yet. So I shot, birthday parties, I shot events, I shot so much stuff that I had no idea what I was even doing. I tried to use flash, I tried to use off-camera flash, I tried to use natural light. I definitely tried it all. I knew that there was some things that were like not going to be something I was really attracted to. And that was like, I wasn't going to be like a creative photographer where I'm going to like jump off a cliff and take your picture. That was like, no. But I love it. I love that creative, jump out of a tree, you're, falling. And there's some beautiful photographers who do some stunning work in that area. But I knew kind of early on, like, kind of not my jam, right? So I am wholeheartedly an advocate for you identifying what kind of photography style you like. So now let's say you've identified your brand, you know what I mean? You've identified what type of photography you want to do. So let's say you've identified, I want to do weddings. Now it's about putting out there, what is your style? So that the bride can take a look at your website and go, oh, they're totally a dramatic photographer. They got dramatic lighting. They're on the top of a mountain and a cliff. That's my jam. But if they look at your page and they see light and airy and then dramatic lighting and then dark and moody, they're like, I don't really know what this photographer's style is. So, and it's like, okay to change up your style, I think, as you grow and develop. I mean, like I said, when I first started, I was a little bit more on the dramatic side. My mentor used professional, camera lighting. So I kind of learned from that person. And I started to decide as I got more mature and more seasoned in my photography that I kind of think I like the light and airy. That's so different from what I want. So I started to put that light and airy style out there. I started photographing my son and my friends and anyone who would let me photograph them to try out this new style of mine. And it started to light a fire under me. So I think it's really important that you fall in love with photography, you fall in love with whatever your cake baking is, you fall in love with whatever it is that you're trying to establish, whatever kind of business you're trying to establish, find that style. Figure out what your style is, because if you jump on a bandwagon style, like right now, light and airy is that's like the in thing, light and airy, right? Everybody is really in love with that whimsical look. And I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people are in love with that whimsical look. They're in love with the light and airy, the sun coming behind the head and the dramatic, beautiful gowns. But if you're photographing that every single day and you hate it because you really want to be able to bend and control your own light, you're not going to be happy with what you're doing. So it's really important to identify your style as early on as you can. That way you can start putting it out there on your website, on your Instagram, on your blogs. This is my style. This is Tyrenda. So like when you see Tyrenda Pentecost photography, you know you're going to get light, airy, beautiful sunlight. You know what I mean? If you see other photographers, you know you're going to get dramatic lighting, mountains and cliffs. It's just important to identify your style. All right, hopefully I'm not rambling too much. I'm like super excited about these 5 tips because we're going to like deep dive into this in the next couple of weeks and I'm excited. All right, so this is something that I find to be extremely important. I mean, when I tell you I educated myself in this photography business, I probably spent years, a full year of just my time going onto YouTube, looking up other photographers' work, looking up other business owners and how they ran their business and what I should do and how I should put myself out there. I went to workshops. I paid for workshops. I paid for mentorship. I can't even begin to stress to you enough how important it is to educate yourself. There are so many photographers and business owners that are out here that are saying, hey, I'm a business owner, but you put them in a situation where maybe they're out of their element and they are not comfortable. And so I tell you, the more real life experience that you can get is great, but the more time you can spend educating yourself is even better. I decided early on in my business that I wanted to understand how to use lighting. I knew I loved natural light. I knew that I wanted to be a natural light photographer, but I also knew I wanted to do weddings. And I knew that if I did not put myself out there and learn about how to use my flash, I was going to be very limited in what kind of weddings I can do. I'm sorry, I can only do weddings that end before sunset. I mean, legit, that's not good. Your natural ISO on your camera can only take you so far. So I will say I spent begaggles of time learning about flash on camera and off camera. I spent begaggles of time in understanding natural reflectors. Jasmine Star was like the first one who turned me on to this. I had some other photographers, Brooke Beasley, who just like can use light anywhere. And I knew I wanted to be at that level where I could go into a situation with the red barn and realize I can't bounce flash off of this red barn. It's going to, create red casting. Or going into a room that has orange walls and knowing, I cannot use just a flash here. I'm going to have to use my Kelvin scale. There is just some things that you can't learn on the job. There's no way you're going to learn how to use a Kelvin scale on the job. There's no way you're going to learn how to use off-camera flash on the job. So I really, really can't stress to you enough that when you see something pop up, free webinar, if you feel like there's a trusted photographer that's got great recommendations, great reviews for a workshop, jump on it. The first workshop that I went to was called Whimsy, and it was over in San Fernando. I had no idea anything about the person I was going. I just knew that her pictures were amazing, and I was like, I want to photograph like her. And I didn't even look up her reviews. I just jumped in the car, I begged my husband, I cried, I snotted, oh honey, please, let me just go to this workshop, please. And he was like, okay, happy birthday. And so I spent I think it was a little bit over $1,000. I went for 2 days and I learned from somebody who I had no idea who I was learning from. I just knew that I liked their style. And I'm going to tell you right now, it was the best investment I ever made. It was life-changing for me and how I photographed and the kind of style that I was trying to get into. So educating yourself, you guys, there's no way around it. If you want to get to become a photographer who's respected and who understands how to use light and understands how to run your business efficiently and do things timely, you're going to have to take some time to educate. So that was tip number 4. Okay, so tip number 5, and this one I'm going to say is you can either do it or not do it. But I'm going to tell you that after I came back from Whimsy and I had already second photographed 2 weddings, the 2 weddings that I photographed, unfortunately, you're going to have to photograph what that photographer wants you to photograph. When you're a second shooter, you're not shooting for yourself. You're shooting for that lead photographer that you're working for them that day. So you getting the shot, you getting the amazing, I want this shot. It's not about you. It's about that lead photographer and what they need. So I recognized pretty early on that the only way I'm going to get what I want is set up a stylized shoot. And I basically found 2 teenagers who, one of them had braces. I didn't even know that they had braces. I rented a dress. I purchased a bouquet. I rented out a venue and I went for it. I had no idea how to pose. I'm sorry, you guys, my husband keeps calling in. So I had no idea how to pose. I had no idea what I was doing. All I know is that at that point, I had identified what my style was. I knew I wanted light and airy. I'm sorry, hold on really quick. This is, I apologize. I don't even know how to turn my phone off. So anyways, I'm going to actually text them. So here goes real life, you guys. I'm in the middle of my session and I am in the middle of doing a Facebook Live and my family's calling, probably asking what's for dinner. Thank you guys for holding. Thank you guys for waiting. I figured I was going to drop all everyone who was viewing right now. Anyways, so I decided I was going to set up this stylized shoot. I had no idea what I was doing. I knew what my style was, and I just hadn't had a chance to put it out there yet. I needed somebody with a pretty dress that I could photograph and just make amazing. So I got these 2 teenagers. One of them is a photographer friend's son who models. He's absolutely beautiful. I didn't know how to pose. I just got the bouquet. I got me a friend who could do some makeup. I actually looked for people who were willing to work with someone who was very green. So I tried to focus on partners that either were smaller, that were, kind of open to, letting you rent the dress, or makeup artists who hadn't really got their name out there yet, and now the people that I've worked with in that thing they've blown up. Like Lamika Rose was the one who did the makeup for that shoot. She had my model looking fabulous. Now she's doing makeup for all kinds of weddings and events and parties and all. I mean, she's blown up. So it's just really, I'm telling you, the stylized shoot is all about you putting your stank on it. If you are somebody who has nothing to photograph yet, you want to be a wedding photographer, but you don't have anything to show yet, hire a model. They'll do it for free if you give them the pictures. Get a bouquet. If you're a baker and you want to do a wedding cake for somebody, forget a client. Go make yourself a wedding cake. Get yourself a photographer who wants to also establish and build up their portfolio. And then now the two of you collaborate, and now you can photograph the cake that you want to show your clients. This is what I can do. And that photographer is also going to be like, hey, look at what I can do with wedding cakes. Trust me, there's so many photographers out there who want to establish themselves that you can partner up. Photograph the food from the restaurant that you're trying to advertise. Photograph the calligraphy from the invitations that you're trying to show brides, how beautiful your calligraphy is. But the bottom line is photograph what you want to put yourself out there. Don't wait for someone to come to you and hire you to do something. Put yourself out there and do it yourself. That's the main thing I can tell you about setting up a stylized shoot. Don't wait around to be handheld to do anything. This is your business. You take it by the horns. You get out there and you do exactly what you want to do with the amount of money that you can. I mean, I was broke as a joke. Okay. So when I tell you it wasn't the most prettiest, situation, but the way that I photographed it, I felt good about it. There goes Samson. Hi, Samson. Okay. The next thing, which is, and that was my last tip. So that leads me to, this next piece, which I am very excited about, and that is, are you ready to jumpstart your business? That's a question mark. I'm hoping that you guys will ask me some questions on this thing now that you've heard the 5 tips that I use to kind of get myself out there. So, are you ready to jumpstart your business? The next 5 weeks, not starting next week, will be Tuesdays together. But the following Tuesday, I'm going to be on here now going through these 5 steps in detail. How to set up your website, what companies I recommend, where to go for your logo, how to set up your stylized shoot, what vendors should be included, what are the different photography styles, what is dramatic, what is, journalistic, what are all these different, things she's talking about. This is where we get into the nitty gritty of what we're talking about, of what I've been talking about. This is where we get into, here's how to identify you, photographer, or you, cake baker, or you, calligrapher, or you just business owner who's maybe opening up a restaurant and you're trying to figure out, how do I put myself out there? This is where we get into the nitty gritty of it. So starting the following Tuesday, our first business topic is going to be about building your brand. This is going to be all about your logos, your websites, your Facebook presence. How often should you be using Facebook? How often should you be using Instagram? Do you need to use Twitter? Those are what we're going to be starting with this next week or the following week. So I really hope that you guys join me in this journey. The 5-week Jumpstart class is a Facebook Live class. I am not going to do a webinar. I kind of mentioned talking about a webinar, but I'm going to go ahead and do this all as a Facebook Live. And I'm going to set up some online downloadable templates with every week from what we discuss. That way you don't have to take notes feverishly. I'm going to have, the information out there for you. So I'm even going to have a download for this, like what we talked about today, the 5 quick tips. Maybe you don't have time to jump on every single, Facebook Live for the next couple of weeks. You don't have time for all that. So I want to give you something tangible to download and take notes on. And I would love to hear from you about how these tips have helped you or helped you grow your business. So I'm going to jump into my phone and see if anybody has asked me any questions. If there's any questions, please ask me. Don't hesitate. Don't be scared. Oh, I seen some people. Hi, Summer. She said, I agree. Okay. I don't know how to use this thing. I think we talked about this the last time, remember? I don't know how to find my comments. Let me see this thing. Let's see if I can figure it out. But if you have questions, I'd love to hear from you. And if I can't get to your questions right now, just know, is that a threat? Yes, Tyler, that was a threat. Anyways, so it looks like I don't have any questions for now, but please note I will be posting the link to these 5 tips, a downloadable PDF. You can just download it, keep it, like I said, take notes on it. And then for those of you who are local in the Central Valley, California, Bay Area, next Tuesday is our Tuesdays Together, and I would love for you to join me at my home to talk about collaboration over competition with the Rising Tide Society. It's all about how we can help each other grow, develop. Looks like I see some more folks. Looks like somebody may have made some more comments. Why can I not figure this out, you guys? Is it because I'm not that slow? I'm pretty smart, but this little thing a little confusing. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Oh, somebody said, how do I... Anyways, I think I'm going to wrap it up here because I'm too slow to figure out how to work these comments. Oh, thanks, Jolie. What was tip number 1? Barbara, tip number 1 was identify your brand. So that was going to be something that we're going to talk about in deep dive 2 Tuesdays from now. Not next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. And it's all about making sure that you've got a social media presence, you've got your website, you've got your Facebook business page, you've got your Instagram, and how you're using it, making sure that you're putting yourself out there, putting out the content that you want to attract. It's going to be all about that. So that's going to be the very first week of the JumpStart course, which will be not next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. If you can join us for Tuesdays Together this coming Tuesday, please send me a personal message. I will add you to the closed group, and we will get you started on, collaboration over competition, partnership, and all that fun stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. I had a lot more to say than I thought. I thought it was going to be like 10 minutes, and I had a bunch to say. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys the following Tuesday.